What's the story, Morning Glory? What is the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of Love During Lockup Season 4, Episode 47, Got You a User. So let's start. Okay, first of all, this episode, these women were showing their stupidity. Their stupidity was absolutely showing. So let's start off with Savannah and Jake. So Savannah calls Jake and tells him that the friend that she had met, his friend, that he wanted her to have a meeting with to talk about his commutation or whatever, that particular friend ended up just bouncing. He left the meeting. She tells him, I don't understand. He just left. We were sitting there talking and he just got up and left. He didn't want to do it anymore. And Jake was like, I just don't understand why he would do that. Okay, the thing is that Savannah did not tell him the full story. It wasn't just a friend leaving for no reason. It was because Savannah was prying too much, digging too deep into Jake's criminal history that is probably connected to the friend's criminal history. And you have an entire camera crew filming for a television show. So he didn't want to get too deep into that. Like I said, maybe there's stuff that the law doesn't know about that they did, or maybe there's stuff out there that's still pending. Who the hell knows? But he wasn't going to divulge any pertinent information that might get him in trouble or that might get Jake into further trouble. And that's the reason why he ended the meeting. But Savannah did not tell Jake that. She just made it seem like, I just don't understand. He just left in the middle of the meeting. So Savannah is that kind of person where she likes to tell half truths. She gives you the incomplete story so that she can get the reaction that she wants out of you, or that she can try to keep her hands clean. Just like when she told him last week, well, the lawyer said that if you got married, it would help your commutation. The lawyer did not say that. The lawyer did not say that. The lawyer was like, it's not going to hurt. If he was married, had a spouse, had a home to come back to, it's not going to hurt him. The lawyer did not say that that is the missing piece to this whole commutation thing, is him marrying you. But that's how she presented it to Jake. Okay, so then she says that she mentioned his mom or something, and he said, yeah, I'm gonna call my mom and see how she can help or whatever. He has some reason that he wants to talk to his mom. So Savannah takes it upon herself, because she's already in Waterloo, which is where his family lives. She takes it upon herself, without telling Jake beforehand, that she's gonna go try to see the mother. So she drives, and I guess she found the mother's house. I'm not sure why she didn't just go. I guess she was trying to call before she knocked on the door. So she found the home and she called the mother, and the mom didn't answer. It went straight to voicemail. So then she starts, at some point she started crying and boohoo. Oh, on her way to the mother's house, it was when she was crying and boohooing about, I don't understand why his family doesn't accept me, and I just want to help Jake, and I just want them to acknowledge that I'm all this work that I'm doing to help with this commutation, that, they need to take that into consideration and not just write me off. So then she arrives at the mother's house at this point, and before she knocks on the door, she wanted to give a courtesy call, and she called. The mom didn't answer. So at some point later on, she calls Jake and she tells him that she had gone to see his mom, but she called first before walking up to the door and nobody answered. So Jake says, you're stupid for that. That's one thing that, look, I don't like it. If this is supposed to be someone that you're dating, I don't know if this relationship is real or fake or what he's feeling for her, but this is, y'all are presenting yourselves to us as a couple. So that's unacceptable language for you to say something like that, especially to someone who is, it looks like she's trying really hard to get his sentence commuted. I don't know, how delusional Savannah is, but you don't call her stupid, because you're presenting her to us like this is your girlfriend. Y'all say I love you, y'all talk like boyfriend and girlfriend. For you to say you're stupid for doing that, there's another way that you can express your discontent or your disapproval of her finding your mother, trying to go look for your mother. There's another way that you could have said. I just don't like it when people who are in a romantic relationship, whether they're dating or whether they're married, I don't like it when they start calling each other names. So he tells her, you're stupid for that. So Savannah says, well, I'm just trying to help. And he says, I don't need your help. So up until now, Savannah makes it look like, she's trying so hard to get his sentence commuted, that she's doing this really wonderful thing for Jake. She's sacrificing so much for Jake, spending all of this time talking to lawyers, getting the paperwork together. And he has the audacity to tell her, I don't need your help. And so then she says to him, so you're just happy with being in prison for the next 5 years, because he was given, I don't know how long he was given, like 10 to 30 or whatever. So he's at that point where I think he's coming up for parole. So she's like, so you're just happy just sitting there in prison for the next 5 years? And he's like, yep, that was the plan. Yeah, that was the plan for me to be here until 2028. That was the plan. And I've accepted that. I've come to terms with that. I'm at peace with that. So yeah, I'm good with that. I don't need your help. That would have been more than enough for me to walk away from Jake. But like I said, I don't know how delusional Savannah is. So later on, y'all, it got even worse than that. Later on, Savannah goes to see one of her friends, and I'm not even going to talk about this stupid cutout head. I'm so sick and tired of seeing these cutouts. So she tells her friend that she really wants to marry Jake, and she wants to marry him before he gets out of prison, because she wants to put that ball and chain on him so that when he comes out of prison, he has no excuse, no reason to be with other people because he's married. So she wants to hurry up and marry him before he's actually released. So the friend thinks that's absolutely nuts. That's crazy, because y'all don't really know each other. Y'all haven't lived together, spent time together on the outside. How can you commit your life to this man? So then Jake happens to call. So they talk about, so Jake calls, and she's like, well, I'm over here with my friend. I think her name is Caitlin. And so Caitlin, hi, Jake. And Jake is like, hey, Caitlin. And so Jake says, so what are y'all talking about? And Savannah says, take a big guess. And Jake was like, marriage. That is really sad that he knows exactly what she's talking about, because she talks about it so damn much. So Caitlin then takes over. And I don't know if Savannah even thought about it, asking Jake the questions that Caitlin was asking, because Caitlin was asking them really good. Let's get down to the bottom of this. Let's forget about the BS. Let's get down and dirty with the truth. I mean, her questions were on point. So first he says that he doesn't want to get married now while he's in prison, because he doesn't want his marriage tied to this horrible place. Okay, that's somewhat of a good answer. We know you're still BSing her, but that's a good answer. And so then the friend Caitlin asks Jake if he will be ready for marriage when he comes out. I don't know if Savannah's ever asked him that. You want to marry this man so bad. Have you ever asked him, are you ready for marriage? Do you want to get married? Do you see me as your wife? So Caitlin says, do you see yourself getting married whenever you're released? And Jake flat out says, nope. Jake says that when he gets out, he wants to explore other women, and he wants to explore them physically. And he says this on speakerphone. I'm hoping he knows that he's on speakerphone, because Savannah is listening to all of this. So he says he was very concise. He was very clear, coherent when he said, I'm not ready to get married. I still want to see other women when I get out of prison. And like I said, Savannah heard this. So the friend says to Savannah, girl, did you hear what he said? How does that make you feel? Savannah says that, well, he didn't say that he was definitely going to explore other women. He said that maybe he'll explore other women. But he didn't make it seem like he was definitely going to. Savannah, what the hell do you need? Do you need to catch him in the act? Do you need somebody to send you a video? What do you need to understand and be convinced that this man is just not that into you? If just not that into you as a person, it is Jake. Like, what more do you need? I mean, your stupidity is showing, girl. What more do you need? So she's going to hold on to this silly dream, this silly hope that her and Jake are going to live happily ever after. She's going to get his sentence commuted. His family's going to end up falling in love with her, and they're going to end up, getting married and having, 2.5 kids and just live this really wonderful, happy life when he gets out of prison. Girl, he's already embarrassing you now. And if you keep up with this, he's going to embarrass you even worse when you come out. So from here on out, Savannah has been warned. She heard her own man say to the world, I'm not ready to get married. I want to see other women when I get out. He told her point blank, I don't need your help. I'd rather rot in prison than have you help me. She's been warned. I will have no more sympathy for Savannah, not like I did to begin with. Whatever little sympathy I had for her is gone by the wayside. I will not feel sorry for her. I don't care what he does to her when he comes. Short of, putting hands on her. When he comes out of prison, if he comes out of prison, if we see their story on Love After Lockup, whatever, however much, however hard, however frequently he cheats on her and embarrasses her, I don't care. I really don't care. I'm not going to have any sympathy for her. I'm going to actually be cheering him on to continue doing it so that she can finally see the light at some point. Like, girl, do you have a mother, a sister? Your friend is telling you that you're crazy for putting up with this guy, and still you're going to see the truth as Savannah sees it. He didn't say he definitely is going to see other women. He said maybe. Okay, We TV, y'all are pranking us. Y'all are trolling us. I just don't believe that this type of delusion that she has is real. Moving on to Leticia and Keith. So Leticia, she comes home from seeing Keith in prison. We get to meet her 2 daughters. She has like a teenager and like an elementary school age daughter. It was Keith's aunt that was watching the girls while she went to go see Keith. So Leticia calls Keith. As soon as she gets home, she greets her daughters, and the first thing she does is she gets on the phone with Keith. I was like, girl, you can't wait a full 24 hours before you start calling this man and just spend this time with your children. No, she calls him right away and she puts him on speakerphone. And I understand that she probably had to put him on speakerphone because the producers probably told her to do that so that we could hear the conversation. But I just didn't think that she should have been addressing her issues, her fidelity issues with Keith on speakerphone for her children to hear. So she calls Keith to address what her friend told her about how his baby mamas were like sniffing around and they don't believe that Leticia and Keith are married. And I don't know if the baby mamas want him. I don't know if the baby mama is trying to like ruin his reputation. I don't know what she's trying to do because I really didn't understand that whole situation. So she confronts him about that. Oh, your baby mama, she's plotting against you. That's what she said. She's plotting against you. And I'm like, what? And so Keith was like, I'm not surprised. Which one of my baby mamas isn't plotting against me? And so this conversation, the kids can hear it. So she has her kids talk to Keith. And that's something else that I really don't approve of. It's like you forcing your children to interact with this man. And I think that what she should do is let them be the ones to make that decision. Let them volunteer to want to talk to him. And if they don't want to talk to him, then, leave it alone. But she's forcing her kids to talk to him because she shoves the phone in their face and say hi to Keith. And so the little girl, she's a little girl. She's innocent. She doesn't know any better. So she doesn't have an issue talking to Keith. But her older daughter, her teenage daughter, Naira, she wasn't feeling it. She gave these, monosyllabic responses. She was barely talking, barely opened her mouth when she was so-called talking to Keith. I think he asked her, how are you? She was like, fine. And look, that was it. So Leticia says that the reason why her oldest daughter isn't really feeling Keith is because her oldest daughter had witnessed her being in a not so healthy relationship before she got with Keith. Okay, so if you know that your daughters were witnesses to you being mistreated, why are you having a very adult conversation on the phone for them to hear that? And you got to do it for the show, granted, but so send your kids outside or send them upstairs or something. So Keith's aunt says that when Keith comes out, a lot of women are going to be attracted to him. So the aunt already knows the what's up. She's like, yeah, when he comes out, he's going to have to be, fighting those women off of him. So Leticia feels really guilty that she leaves her kids behind to go see a man, even though the man is her husband. So in the same sentence, in the same breath, she's talking about how she's acknowledging that she may not be making the best choices as a mother, and at the same time she's justifying those choices. So she'll say, oh, I feel so bad that I left my kids just to go see a man, but that man's my husband. It don't matter. Your kids feel some kind of way about this. At least your oldest daughter does. So she feels so guilty about being away from her children, to go see this man in prison. So she tries to like overcompensate. So she, buys them stuff, and then she's going to take them out somewhere. I think she's going to take them to like a place like a Chuck E. Cheese type place. It was one of those places where the kids can play games and bowl and do all kinds of stuff. So when she's over there, she talks to her daughter about Keith, her oldest daughter about Keith. And Leticia asks her, what would you want to see happen? And Nanura says, I don't know. I don't know. And she said it in a way that she knows what she would want to see, but she's too scared to tell her mom because her mom is in deep. She's already married the damn man. So her mom is in deep. So I'm like, why would you ask your daughter that? Like, what would you want to see happen? As if she's going to be able to tell you exactly how she feels. But I'm glad she asked because she wants to keep that door of communication open. So I'm glad that she asked. I'm glad that she was trying to get her daughter's opinion, trying to get her daughter's input in this whole situation. But still, that your daughter really wasn't feeling it because her daughter was like, I don't know. But as her mother, what your daughter would rather see. So in her own confessional, Nayura says that what scares her is her mom getting hurt. And that kind of tugged at my heart a little bit because she's really concerned about her mom getting hurt. And it makes me want Leticia to care about her children as much as her children care about her. So I guess Nayura is like, maybe she doesn't have a problem with Keith in general, like, moving in with him or whatever. I don't know. Her issue is she doesn't want Keith to hurt her mom because she sees, I guess, how gullible and her mom is with men. So I don't know. It's just a sad situation. So yeah, to me, but she's already married the guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you going to do? I don't understand why you can't live your life and do your thing. I'm not saying that a woman with children and she's no longer with the children's father, I'm not saying that they should go without being in relationships. I think that, you can still do your thing. You don't have to expose your children to it until you know 100% sure that this is the right guy, because there are wonderful, fantastic step parents and bonus dads out there that create a real bond with children that are not biologically theirs. That goes without saying, but I don't think it starts with when your daughter's a teenager, you meet some dude in prison. Y'all, I don't know. Moving on from there, Leticia goes to a jewelry store to buy a wedding ring. And she tells us up front, look, I ain't looking for no $5,000 ring. That's just too cheap for me. I'm above a $5,000 ring. So she goes inside and she tells us that Keith gave her a budget of $10,000, and she tells the sales associate, well, I wanted a budget of $30,000 for my ring, but my husband brought me down to $10,000. Why are you telling the sales associate that you wanted a budget of $30,000 and now you're coming down to 10? Why would you tell her that? Are you trying to like convince her that you really have money to afford these things that they're selling over there, and that what? I didn't understand why she said that. So the lady was like, okay. So she's looking around at some rings. She saw a ring that she really, really liked, but it was only $2,100. So she's like, oh, that's too cheap for me. Even though it's really pretty and I like it, it's too cheap for me. Okay, she's stupid. So then she saw another ring that she really liked with a much bigger diamond, and it was $15,000. So it's $5,000 above her budget. So she's considering it. She's contemplating, should I or shouldn't I? Her cousin Shalonda is there with her, and she's like, oh, I don't know, but I really love it. This is the kind of ring that I want. I don't know. The sales associate is trying to make a sale, right? And so she tells her, well, it's better to ask for forgiveness later than asking for permission. So she's like, oh, okay, go ahead and put it on the card. So she buys this $15,000 ring. To me, okay, I don't know. it looked to me like I don't know anything about rings, but it really wasn't screaming 15,000. The diamond was definitely big, it was definitely sparkly, but just the rest of it, it wasn't screaming 15,000. But it was a pretty ring. So my thing is, girl, you're spending 15 grand on this ring. Did you check the cut, the color, the clarity of this all? Or are you just putting down money on, you don't even know the quality of this ring? And I don't know what you think. I don't know what kind of jewelry store this is. I don't know if you think it's because it's a Caucasian associate that she's not going to sell you anything that's not that's not of value. I don't know, but girl, you should have been like taking out that little eye thing and been looking at the cut, clarity, color, carat, all that stuff, the 4Cs. Get it appraised, child. Go get it appraised. $15,000, a lot of money for that one little ring that's not screaming $15,000. So her stupidity was showing in that scene. Moving on to Ronika and Asante. So Ronika is on her way to see her man, right? Because he's supposed to be getting out of prison. So she calls him to confirm where she's supposed to come pick him up. His phone is disconnected. So she's like, oh my God, what's going on? Because his phone is never disconnected. So she calls the prison to find out where he's at and when he's going to be released and where to meet him. And the prison tells her he's been released. And she's like, since when? And they tell her, girl, since yesterday. Yesterday. Yeah. So she's all kinds of confused. So she is calling around the different, I don't know, sheriff's department, prisons, I don't know. And she's looking for, where's Lysidris? I'm looking for Lysidris. So she finally has to pull over, and she calls a person who Asante told her was his relative. And so she calls the number. That person says, you got the wrong number. And so she's like, aren't you so-and-so? Because it bleeped out the name. Aren't you so-and-so? And the person's like, no, I'm not so-and-so. You got the wrong number. Click. So she's really confused now. She's like, okay, this is the number he gave. Okay, people can change their numbers, girl. Okay, people change their numbers on a daily. People can change their numbers. It's okay. So she calls her sister. I'm like, why are you calling your sister? Because this is exactly what your sister warned you of. So she tells her sister, Asante got released, but I don't know. He got released yesterday. He never told me. I don't know where he's at. And the sister tells her, sounds like you got you a user. You need to turn your butt back around and just cut your losses and leave this alone, because this is not showing diva behavior. And you claim that you're such a diva and you're such a queen and da-da-da-da. This is not queen behavior. This is actually peasant behavior. And so she's like, I don't know. I know he's somewhere. I'm gonna go find my man. Okay, fine, girl. This whole scene to me was very staged. It was very forced. It just wasn't authentic to me, especially when she had pulled over at that truck stop with all those trucks driving, the truck parking lot area. And she's talking to her sister. That scene right there was just very staged to me. I don't know why. I just didn't think it was very genuine. We saw a little teaser of Love After Lockup that starts in September, and I think her and Asante are going to be on Love After Lockup, which means that she eventually found them. If they're going to be on Love After Lockup, it's not like another woman came and he skedaddled with her and never talked to Ronika again. Eventually they did end up together. Moving on from there, K-Rock and Brittany. So Brittany talks to one of her friends that is still in jail, and this friend, I think her name was Carla, tells Brittany that K-Rock got into a really bad fight, that K-Rock had messed this person up really bad, whoever K-Rock was fighting, and broke their eardrum. I was like, what? What? When your eardrum is busted, that's it. You can't hear from that ear. So Brittany's like, oh my God, what's going on? And from what the friend said, the friend got into an altercation with somebody, and I think she was getting her butt handed to her. So K-Rock stepped in to defend this friend. So moving on from there, the next time that we see Brittany, K-Rock's brothers wanted to come outside because K-Rock has purchased this grill. And I'm assuming it was a grill, a cooking grill for Brittany. I don't know. This barbecue pit grill. I don't know. So she's like, oh my God, what? Are you actually going to be cooking on it? I didn't understand why she was so like, oh my God. So it's a grill. the brothers started cooking on it. She wasn't cooking on it. So the brothers, they start grilling the meat. And so then they give her an envelope. So K-Rock had also given her $300 in cash. So she talks to K-Rock on the phone and she's like, oh, baby, thank you for the grill and thank you for the money. And he did this because he felt bad about their fight when she wasn't there to video call him at their appointed time. And he got really mad at her because she missed their video call. So he was just trying to make it up to her for losing his temper with her. And so then she brings up the fight and she's like, oh, so-and-so told me that you got into a fight. And he was like, so that's what you're going to do? You're going to believe what somebody else tells you? And she's like, no, baby, I'm just asking. And he was like, after all I've done for you and after all that we've been through, you're just going to believe what somebody else says about me? If I would have gotten into a fight, don't you think I would have told you? And she's like, well, I thought maybe you didn't want to worry me and that's why you didn't tell me. And K-Rock says, okay, I hear what you're saying. But if I would have got into a fight, I would have told you. So I don't want you believing the lies that other people are telling about me. And so Brittany is like befuddled. She's like, so why would Carla tell me that you got into a fight if you didn't get into a fight? So in her own confessional, she's trying to like work out the math and try to figure out like, why would she say this to me if it didn't happen? So she assumes that maybe Carla is trying to get in between her and Brittany. I mean, her and K-Rock. I don't know. That's that prison drama. It went completely over my head, y'all. I'm not understanding why somebody would lie about K-Rock getting into a fight if they were not in a fight. I don't understand why K-Rock got so defensive with Brittany. Like, why are you believing other people? And she's just asking him a simple question. And she's just asking a question. Is this true? And all he could have said was like, no, I didn't get into a fight. I just left it at that instead of why are you believing other people? That prison drama, it went over my head. Moving on to Jade and Chris. So Jade and her sister, they're on their way to the prison powwow. And on their way there, they're talking about finances. So Jade says in her confessional that if she was more financially independent, then she would question Chris a whole lot more about how the finances are going to be handled between them. But because she's not financially independent, because she is living strictly on Chris's money, she doesn't feel like she has really any grounds to question Chris on what are you going to do with your money and with all the stuff that you bought me if we should get a divorce. How is that going to be handled? Do we need to do a postnum? So she feels like because she's coming to the table empty-handed and he's paying for everything, that she really can't start up that conversation because, most likely it's going to be like, none of your business. This is all my stuff. So at the store, because they're trying to buy like a country western outfit for the powwow, at the store, her and her sister are still talking about it. And so, the sister's like, you really need to rethink things and, kind of figure out exactly what's going on here with the money situation. So then Jade begins to reflect on how she had put her life completely on hold for this man, waiting for him to come out. And she was talking about how all of her friends, they've moved on, they've gotten married, had children, and she's still stuck waiting for this man to come out. Yeah, you're still stuck. You like being stuck. Because in this stuck position, your man is taking care of everything. He's paying for everything. He's giving you, I don't know how much he's giving you per month or how much he's giving you in total. You're living off of him. So that's why you're stuck and you really haven't moved on, because I'm not understanding. If you have things that you want to do with your life, you want to get married or you want to have children, waiting for this guy to serve his time, that ain't the way to go about it. So the sister encourages her, you need to do what's best for you, Jade, because Chris is definitely doing what's best for him. So hopefully the wheels start turning in Jade's head. Thank you so much for joining me for this review. I really do appreciate you spending your time with me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video if you like this content, subscribe to my channel, and I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.